Assalamu alaikum, shalom, hotep, peace, peace. Assalamu Allah to the angels of Almighty God Allah, who appeared in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises are due forever, and his first, last, and only messenger, the most honorable, Elijah Muhammad. Beloved, today we're going to decipher in the cipher the war of the gods. Now, in this war of the gods is actually going to be a series. I'm going to touch on it not in no mathematical order that you would understand, but those 1,816 years from today, they will clearly understand. But the short version is there can be no peace until the removal of the beast. There can be no peace until there's war. There can be no truth unless there's falsehood. There can be no righteousness unless there's wickedness. There can be no heaven unless there's hell. You cannot know God unless you know the devil. You cannot know God until you know yourself. You cannot know the devil until you know yourself. I know you think you're woke. I know you think you got the truth. I know you think you got the proof. But the angels of Allah are here. They're not coming, they're here. And our job is to wake you up to the reality, not of Master Fard Muhammad, not of Messenger Elijah Muhammad, not of Minister Louis Farrakhan, not of Salas Muhammad, not of Father Allah, not of the 120, not of your lessons, but of yourself. Not of the knowledge of yourself, but an understanding of yourself. So, after taking counsel, we're going to take y'all to the next phase, if you will. See, everything happens on time, with time, in accordance with the mathematics of time. See, it's actually space-time. It's not space and time, but it's actually space-time. You know what I mean? Everything interacts with itself. In the War of the Gods series, you're going to learn about how gods make and unmake themselves, how believers must rise from disbelievers, how pure righteousness must rise from pure unrighteousness, how your highest self is the God, but your lowest self is the devil. So in this war of the gods, we're going to show you the dichotomies. The messenger wives versus messenger Elijah Muhammad, Wallace D. Muhammad, Iman Worth D. Muhammad, if you will, versus messenger Elijah Muhammad. The possible versus the impossible. Some stuff you're not going to really understand. We get it. Today we're going to cover Kalat, the supreme captain versus the supreme minister. Integration versus separation going to be later. Salas Muhammad versus Farrakhan going to be later. Clarence 13X versus Malcolm X, the Black Panther Party versus Nation Islam, US Organization versus Nation Islam, the police versus the Nation Islam, FBI, COINTELPRO versus the Nation Islam. All of these are in the pantheon of the War of the Gods. The Mafia, the Italian Mafia versus the Black Mafia is in the War of the Gods. The prison wardens versus the FOI and MGT, the War of the Gods. The courts versus the Nation Islam, the Sunnis versus the Nation Islam, the Moors, whom we love and respect, but there was a war between the Nation Islam. There was a war between the Garvites and the Nation Islam. You know what I mean? There was a war between Christianity and Islam. There was a war between the educated or the college or the proletariat, the intellectuals in the Nation Islam. You know what I mean? There was a war between the 10% and the 5%, the rich and the poor. You know what I mean? There was a war between the political and the apolitical followers of the Honorable Elijah, the educated and uneducated. The old versus the new. There is no limit to the war of the gods. Know what I mean? And a lot of people don't understand the beauty of our universe and how the cosmology of astronomy operates. You know what I mean? Like the black man's mind, sparking space-time, sparking the baby atoms. They grow into atoms. I mean, you got all these atoms forming like nitrogen, oxygen, well, hydrogen in the beginning, forming with helium, and you're sparking the suns and the stars, and you know what I mean, our planets and the oceans and marine life coming up on the land, and you know what I mean, going into the air, and how the primates stood up, and you know what I mean, how the black man used to give birth to himself, how to this day we still as men have estrogen and testosterone in our DNA. We still have nipples because we are the ones that gave birth to civilization. The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the very God of the entire universe. There is no spooky behind Ellie. I know all these intellectuals, all these Googleologists. I mean, I know y'all think that y'all going to defeat the supreme law God who came in the person of Master Muhammad. I want y'all to understand something. We knew that y'all failed 114 trillion years ago. We're just here in the present manifestation to do the work, not for the masses, but in the midst of the masses, there's 144,000 people that's going to remake the entire universe. Yeah, family. Right now, you may not understand it. Right now, you may think I'm a kook. Right now, you might even consider me your enemy. But if you notice, I'm relentless. I don't stop because my will, my individual will, is in harmony and in accord with the divine will of Allah God, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises due forever, and his first, last, and only messenger, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I don't care what it is. I mean, you will find that the messenger's message will guide you through this age of mess. Now, I mean, success does not depend on numbers. See, a lot of people say, oh, we got the numbers, we got 1 million man march, 1 billion man. That don't mean nothing to the gods. I mean, the biggest crowds is with the enemy. The biggest crowds are held by Satan. The biggest crowds are mentally dead. The largest audiences is with the Pope of Rome. That's the largest religion on the planet Earth. I know hip hop, big giant churches, mega churches, synagogues, mosques, masjids, schools, temples. Oh, we're getting money. That corny stuff don't mean nothing in the pantheon of the gods. Nothing whatsoever. It shows your extreme ignorance. It shows that you who think you're 5% poor righteous teachers are really wannabe 10% rich slave makers of the poor. You classify your success based on your credit card. How many $100 dead presidents you got in your hand, in your bank account? How many checks the white man signed? How much money you got in the white man's bank? All of your investments, all of your authority comes from the devil himself. And we're here to tell you there's going to come a day and there's going to come a time that all your money, all your gold, all your fancy clothes, your fancy cars, your mansions, that stuff is going to be so irrelevant to you that you're going to wish that you have stuck with Messenger Elijah Muhammad, the first, last, and only messenger of Almighty God Allah in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises are due forever. Economic disasters, rain, hail, snow, earthquakes, mental disease, physical violence, chaos, diseases. It's going to haunt you, family. You're on the wrong team. You're on the wrong team, family. So I want you to understand, and I want Shaitan, to understand. See, I'm the type like this. See, y'all pray for success and money, and I don't pray for that spooky crap. I understand the law of polarity. I pray to Allah God who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. I'm like, Master Fard Muhammad, listen, I want you to create the most evil, most powerful, the most universal and diabolical, satanic, evil energy in the entire universe. And let him, her, them, they, it hit me with everything they got. Not some, I mean everything. I mean the worst of the worst. So that I can easily show and prove that the angels of Allah are real. So I can show and prove to Satan. See, I know right now it's irrelevant. I'm not looking right now. I'm looking 100, a billion, a trillion years in the future. They going to get it. I ain't worried about these spooky people today. They going to get it in the future. They going to be like, whew, thank you. Because they're going to terraform and remake the entire universe. I'm irrelevant. My thing is, my life, my death, my sacrifices is all for Allah. I mean, so I know my purpose in life. I mean, I'm just a tiny little atom in the midst of countless atoms covering 230 continuous 640 quadrillion miles. I'm on a planet covering 196,940,000 square miles, 57,255,000 square miles of land, 139,685,000 square miles of water, atmosphere 6 miles high. I know my place in the universal order of things. I'm not trying to be the general. I'm not trying to be the God. I'm not trying to be Master Fard Muhammad or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm not trying to be Farrakhan or Solace or Father Allah. No. I want to play my role because you may not understand it, but this information, I'm writing it on your DNA. I'm writing it in your subconsciousness so that when you physically die, get killed, commit suicide, whatever way you go, it's relevant to me personally. I mean, because I'm thinking on a whole angel level. But when you go back into the energy, you're going to have the mathematics of your DNA that's going to produce something greater. It gets greater later, family. I know it seems strange, but we as a civilization, if you will, that's what we want to call it. At this vibration, that's what we call it, a civilization. Humanity, almost 8 billion people on Earth. None of us are going to be here in the future. That sun is going to keep swelling up. Right now on the surface, it's 14,072 degrees high. But it's going to swell up. And it's going to engulf the Earth. It's going to microwave, not the planet. It's going to microwave you, your children. But they're not. Once everything in the universe collapses on itself, every star, every atom, it's going to be complete, pure blackness. We're talking trillions of years in the future. But you know what's going to happen? It's going to be pure light, And the black gods, the black human beings that exist in the future is going to, first of all, they're not even going to remember us. I want you to understand that now. We're going to be completely unknown. He, Allah, makes all things new. He don't make no new things. Nothing is going to be new. He just takes the old and he vibrates it at such a level that the old transforms into the new. It vibrates literally into the new, meaning that when you go outside at nighttime, you look up, you see a black sky, black universe, and you see stars. There will be no stars. There will be no planets. There'll be no moons. There'll be no such thing as atoms. There'll be no such thing as light as we know light. It'll be a whole brand new universe, family. I mean, and Allah blessed some of us to see tomorrow today. FBI files. I could take y'all into like the Judas Factor. I could take y'all into Malcolm X. I could take y'all into the Original Man. I could take y'all into actual Malcolm. I could take y'all into the Bible, Quran. I could take y'all into that holy message to the black man in America. I could take y'all into that messenger. I can take on to the 24th. In fact, I'm gonna read something to y'all about the 24th principle. Since we into the 24th science, nothing spooky. But let me take y'all into yeah. In fact, let me turn this on real quick. In fact, I'm not even gonna get into all this because I'll be here all day with this because it's so much. I'm gonna keep it simple. Let me just quote something from here. 48 laws of power. Never outshine your master. We're not talking about slave masters here. We're not talking about black, white. I mean, it's a lot of spooky stuff out there. We're not talking on that level. We're talking on the level of the messenger teaches us superior wisdom should not be subjected to inferior wisdom. See, a lot of people is attracted to mediocrity. I mean, you know, they get full of junk food. I mean, so if you try to offer a baby, eat your broccoli, I don't want to eat no vegetables, I don't want no fruit. I mean, I want McDonald's. Now, I mean, that's what kind of teachings the people like. They like McDonald's too. They like Burger King and Wendy's. They want the fast food. It's the internet. You know what I mean? So the angels of Allah don't fall. We fully understand. Not that we agree, but we definitely understand. We're not looking for the pump and the glitter or the fame and the wealth. You know what I mean? We're consciously trying to teach you about the careful observance of duty. We're aware that we're able to just sit back and fold our arms. See, we can sit back and fold our arms, and your leaders, gonna fail. You know what I mean? The Nation of Islam will get weaker. But we tried this, it didn't work. But we had this leader, it didn't work. We tried this one, it didn't work. And see, in your concept of time or motion or space-time, if you will, you look at it like to the 18th power those that you are sparking today. See, they're laying the seeds that you physically can't see today. But the angels of Allah are absolutely conscious how fertile the field is. They're absolutely happy today. See, you don't even realize since 1985, the devil was dead. The devil's time is over with. I mean, and you're still struggling and fighting against satanic forces that are really yourself. You're not fighting a white man. You're fighting against yourself, your self-ignorance, your greed, your envy, your jealousy. I know you don't think you're envy. You're fighting against your envy and jealousy. It's not going to hurt you. It's going to kill you until you humble yourself and submit yourself to the supreme Allah God who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises are due forever. A lot of people think they're going to be able to rewrite history. See, some people foolishly think that they will be able to take and literally erase the 25,000 year cycle and rewrite their own cycle. They ain't just look at you like you a fool. Not nowadays, fam. Know what I mean? We understand Satan is desperate, so you're going to have those that's going to attempt that. But we really ain't paying that kind of stuff too much attention. We're going to pay the little attention, but it's not. It's just take a little tweak here and there to shut that nonsense down. But I want you to understand something from Messenger Elijah Muhammad about the hypocrites. We're going to share with you from the Holy Message to the Black Man in America, page 248, 1965, Message to the Black Man in America. About these darn hypocrites. Hypocrites, disbelievers, and obedience. We need not have fear for future. No fear, fam. Not nowadays. The messenger says, and I quote, "These above words are those of disbelievers and hypocrites. The disbelievers and hypocrites of prophets and messengers of God never want to give them credit and honor and bear witness with them in saying that the message they are delivering to the people is from the Lord of the worlds, God. They always wish to give the lie to what a divine messenger or warner brings to the people from God. They say he has forged it, or it is of his own making. It is not what God said. It is his saying. These are the words of disbelievers, hypocrites, and proud ones against the truth and the bearers of truth." Family, I want you to understand how Master Fard Muhammad operates. Master Fard Muhammad does not care about Paris. You can quote Elijah Muhammad all day long. That don't mean nothing to Master. That don't mean nothing to the 24th sign. That don't mean nothing to the supreme angels. What we're conscious of is the careful observance of duty. We're not talking about you dry fasting, making salat 7 times a day or 5 times a day, calling a dime. We're not talking about you giving charity, selling final calls and Muhammad speaks and bean pies and all this. Let's try to become a capitalist bullcrap in the eyesight of the gods. What we're looking for is those that honestly, sincerely, truly love the truth, love the teachings of Messenger Elijah Muhammad. Those who are humble in their spirit, who are not concerned about the here now, but focus on the hereafter. Those that do not care about their individual selves, but care about the unknown and untold masses of the people all over the planet Earth who are the seeds of tomorrow. The messenger goes on to say, the above verse says to the messenger that he is to warn a people to whom no warner has come before him. Many of the writers of the history of Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, of nearly 1,400 years ago, write that Muhammad was the first prophet that Mecca had ever seen. Even Maulana Muhammad Ali, who translated the Holy Quran in English, says in his footnotes on this verse that Muhammad was the first prophet that Mecca had ever seen, and that he was raised among the descendants of Ishmael. Spooky. How do the scholars and writers of Islam say such when, if they make Muhammad a descendant of Ishmael, you can't make Muhammad a descendant of Ishmael? I know you think you're going to be successful with that spooky stuff. But this is what's going to happen. See, we know tomorrow the nation is going to get extremely spooky. It's already spooky, but it's going to get extremely spooky. Extremely spooky. And that spookism, that setting up mystery gods with the true and living God. Who is the true and living God? I'm not talking about Master Muhammad. I'm not talking about Messenger Elijah Muhammad. I'm not talking about Farrakhan. I'm not talking about Salas. I'm not talking about Father-in-Law. I'm talking about you. You are the true and living God. You are Satan. You will build heaven. You are in hell. This is the problem. This is what you're not getting right now. You're looking outside of self. You're looking at pictures. You're looking at numbers. You're looking at money. You're looking at cars. You're looking at fancy buildings, beautiful temples, and big mosques, thinking that that is the will of the supreme Allah God who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. I'm here to let you know, Spooky, the very rocks that orbit this universe. See, we had this nonsense for eons. See, we seen this 1,000, 10,000, a million, a billion, trillion. We seen this over and over and over again. The gods get sloppy. They get greedy. They get lazy. They get spooky. I wouldn't care if you built ancient Egypt, Persia, if you built ancient Babylon. I mean, you could be like, well, we got Iraq over here. We got Nubia, the Sudan. We got ancient Kush. The gods destroyed 100% of every last one of them civilizations. They destroyed ancient Greece, blew up. The angel dropped a meter, he threw a rock and blew up Atlantis, blew it completely up. Why? The gods got spooky. They got lazy. And we're here to let you know, you're going to get destroyed with the spooky stuff you keep teaching, you keep doing. You think that the Supreme Allah God, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, is not aware of your transgressions. But there's 7 of us, family, that want you to know it's coming. You'll see, or you won't see nothing. The messenger goes on to say, how do the scholars and writers of Islam say such when, if they make Muhammad a descendant of Ishmael, they want to make Muhammad a descendant of Ishmael, spooky behind Ishmael. It's not going to work. We are fully aware of the future of this nation. How do the scholars and writers of Islam say such when, If they make Muhammad a descendant of Ishmael, they are condemning their own saying that he was the first prophet of Mecca when both Abraham and Ishmael were prophets according to the Holy Quran. Even the Bible and all religious people recognize Abraham as being a prophet. Therefore, Muhammad could not have been the first prophet because the very significance of the signs of that Abraham and Ishmael built in Mecca tells us much about the type. See, we're talking types and antitypes, prototypes of prophet and people that would be raised up in the last days. So how can they say that this revelation refers to Mecca, the Meccans, and Muhammad? It reads, quote, "Thou mayest warn a people to whom no warner has come before, that they may walk aright." This condemns the very fundamental teachings of the origination of the prophets and guides for the people coming from that direction. From the east, Mecca has been a sacred place. God himself has protected its sacredness ever since time immemorial. How then could this be a savage and unknown of the righteous and of even a righteous warner if there were not the will of God to keep that city sacred and deserving as a sign of righteousness? Then how can the scholars say that it has not even seen a prophet or a warner from Allah? Would Abraham and Ishmael have chosen a more wicked place to set up a sign of the last warner and his people, which the Kaaba and black stone represents? The very words, quote, "to whom no warner has come before," that they put in a book that is called the last revelation of Allah to the people could not mean Mecca. Could not mean Mecca. Because the last warner and the last people to whom prophets and the truth have never come to is the same people that the Bible and Holy Quran refer to as being blind, deaf, and dumb, and mentally dead, who must be resurrected before there can be a judgment of the wicked. No people answers this description better than the American so-called Negroes. And there is no country that better represents that description of where no prophets have been sent than America. Right here, family, this is taking place. Right in the United States of America. The USA, the United States of America will be the Listen, the United States of America will be the United States of Allah. Is the place that the new world will be built. Think that over, family. Hell will be heaven. I keep telling y'all about the law of polarity. I keep telling y'all, study the 7 universal laws. Study the Kabbalion. The Kabbalion, you can't study the Kabbalion without knowing your lessons. You can't study the Kabbalion without reading the holy message to the black man in America. But when you know knowledge of self, then study ancient Kemet. Then study the sciences of life. It'll make sense to you. Everything will fit mathematically, systematically. The messenger teaches us in Al Sayyid Has Arrived, his last book, February 26, 1974, that hell will be transformed into heaven. that the hereafter is right here in the wilderness of North America. Yes. Hell will be vibrated on such a level that it will be heaven. The United States, the United Snakes of America will be transformed into United States of a law. We're not talking force, compulsion, terrorism, none of that. It's nothing spooky. This will happen naturally, mathematically, logically, systematically. White folks and black folks, irrelevant. Human beings ain't got nothing to do with this. It's the universal order of things. See, when that mind of the original man, the manifestation of the mind of the black man sparking space-time, atoms, sparking the sun, stars, planets, moons, water, hydrogen, oxygen, helium, nitrogen, carbon, all these basic elements that's all around us. We breathe it. We are it. The mathematics of it may modify itself to make it more efficient for us. But at the end of the day, Allah teaches the same thing, just in a different way. On a universal level, it all comes from a head. One. There's one God, one creator of all creation. He is not a spook. Huwa Allahi. Say He Allah. Because it was not necessary. Because in his teachings, I ain't gonna say some stuff, everything he taught was black and white. Everything he taught was the law of polarity, the dichotomy of our universe. Darkness, light, righteousness, wickedness, God, devil, up, down, rich, poor, political, apolitical, living, dead. Everything the messenger taught was in black and white. Now, the angels of Allah, we are humbly blessed to see the gray areas. And our job is simple. It's to make sure that the messenger's message is delivered as the messenger's niyat, or his intention, was designed. We're like servants of the universal order of things, to make sure that the cosmic laws stay like spooky people talk about the feather and the heart on the scales and the big monster over here going to swallow the heart if it outweighs. It's like, Sunnis talk about it as the thara, the atom. He who does an atoms of good will see it, and he who does an atom of evil will see it. But all those things are 100% true. It's just organized religion just spook it all up. But the simple principle is this. Everything, everyone, every idea, every dominant idea, every recessive idea, every righteous idea, every wicked idea, every human being, every God, every devil, every angel, every demon is actually one. It's darkness and light. God, devil. But the way we humanly think, our interpretations, our perspectives, our Eurocentric way of thinking, which is linear way of thinking, which is spooky. That's what I call spookism. Now, I mean, that's the realm of like Zeus, Neptune and Venus and all this spooky stuff, because they're plagiarizing ancient black comedic Shabazian's concepts, and not intentionally, but they're trying to draw power from it, which is smart on that. If I was right, I'd do the exact same thing. I mean, but it's so temporary, it's so minor in the universal order. We're talking 6,000 years and 114 trillion years. Divide that. Look at the math for that. 6,000 years. People like, oh, we was in slavery for 400, 500 years. Yeah, that's true. But to the gods, that's not important. I mean, God is aware that black folks can endure. They can, black people will survive slavery, suffering, and death. We already survived slavery, suffering, and death. That don't mean that we didn't suffer. That don't mean we didn't die. That don't mean that we don't cry. We're not hurt. I mean, we just want you to understand that a lot of the ideas and cultural philosophies that you presently hold, the future's not going to have it. I mean, like, I'm going to just take one out of like trillions. The concept of death. Black people can't die. You'd be like, can white people die? White people don't exist. White people are no more and no less than a manifestation or a degree of black people. They're just the low vibration of black folks. I mean, there's only humanity. There's only God in person. See, in our brains, we like to put stuff according to the Eurocentric, because we was in slavery. So our brains, compartmentalize stuff like, oh, this is the God, this is the devil, this is the demons, these are the angels, this is heaven, this is hell, these are the rich folks, these are the poor folks, these are the big eyes, these are the little U's. That's not how God thinks. God just looks at reality. The Holy Quran teaches us in the 22nd surah, Allahu and Ahak. The God is reality. The pure truth, the sure truth, the all in all, the reality. It's hard for human beings on this level, at this time, in this dimension, to really grasp that. Now, I mean, we like to think like the gods is going to come. We got this Messiah complex, as Dr. Khalid put it. We think that the mother plane is going to come save us. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is still physically alive on the mother plane. When someone in our leadership physically dies, they're going to go on the mother plane and guide the holy nation of Islam. Spooky, 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 spooky. You are going to be compelled to do for self. Now, this is the sad part that I hate to tell you. Master Fard Muhammad is going to turn you to you. He's going to put you in a position. He's going to put this country, Africa, India, China, this world, this solar system, this universe, on a vibration where willingly or unwillingly is going to have to bear witness that the black man is God. It's going to have to bear witness to the... Now, I'm not saying that you're going to consciously call it Master Fard Muhammad, Message to the Black Man, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Angels of Allah, 10%, the Devil, the 5. That stuff is over. That's just a means to an end. That's just us trying to articulate something on this vibration, on this level, in this dimension, so that you can get some concept of this thing here. I mean, but you're going to see that that kind of stuff is not important in the universal order of things. What's important is the mathematical progression of our universe. The mathematical progression of the species. We're at the level where we're getting into technology, if you will. The technology we have today is mere child's play compared to the technology of the future. But at this level, it's good. It's real good. Now, I mean, the steam engine was real good. Now, I mean, you go back 100, 200 years ago, that was real good. White folks ain't going to give you the credit, but the ancient people of Kemet, Black Egypt, they invented all machines. Everything that we call a machine today, I'm talking about your cell phones, technology, trains, airplanes, whatever it is, cars, whatever. It's really some real elementary, some real basic stuff that ants use. I mean, speaking of ants, I just the day for example, I just seen somebody just sent me a cute little TikTok. I don't even remember who the brother was or sister was. They sent me a TikTok, and I think it was Charles Dickens or something. And they basically was saying like, if you put 100 red ants in a glass jar with 100 black ants, put a lid on it, nothing will happen. But if you shake up the jar, slam it on the table, if you will, the red ants think that the black ants are the enemy. And the black ants will think that the red ants are the enemy. So they'll start fighting each other, killing each other. And the principle of the TikTok was racism doesn't really exist. It's just the one that stir it up, the one that shake up the jar is really the causation of the racism. And I wrote a little comment in there. Now, I mean, you know, but I basically telling them like, you need to study the actual facts. I mean, you know, see, some stuff sound real hip. And see, that type of technology, they got a lot of, I mean, they got, oh man, like so thousands and thousands of views. They love that kind. See, people love technology. They love bullcrap. They love the lie. But when you're teaching pure truth, you're not going to get paid. I'm like, I don't get no money for this. I ain't getting the numbers like that. I mean, if I was talking about who had sex with who shot who, and if I'm slandering people, then you get the life. If I'm in the hip hop and if I'm talking about, if I'm showing how much money I'm getting or something, if I'm pulling up in a Maybach, I'm smoking a blunt, drinking some Henny, if I'm out Vegas if I got 300,000 cash in my hands, I'll get 1 million views off of that crap. That stuff is such nonsense to conscious people. That's not why I'm here. I'm here for the careful observance of duty. I'm here to speak not to you, but to your heart. I'm literally talking to the atoms inside your brain's brain. See, I'm conscious that I'm talking to someone that's in you, but they don't come out of you until like 10, 50, 100,000, 3 million, 10 million, 2 trillion years in the future. See, when you physically die, and we all going to physically die, you and I, and your bones go back to stone, your flesh go back to vegetation, your blood turns back into water, those atoms is going to be of a better quality. Those atoms are going to have so much mathematics in it that when that sun destroys our solar system and kills everybody, we'll be back. Not you and I in a spooky, like a karma type of reincarnations. You know, it's all these spooky concepts, but it is a mathematical, realistic, practical way the universe does this. You know what I mean? The reason why we will live is because we can never die. Our brains in this vibration, we're taught by white folks that we physically die. But that's a spooky way. You can't come back from death because you never was born. The Said Nation Islam has no birth record, has no beginning. Or you're always alive. You're always dead. Your body is alive and dead at the exact same time. It's just that your interpretation and your miseducation have you thinking on those levels. But in the future, those atoms are going to do the stuff all over. And when they produce these new objects, I don't want to call them planets because I don't, you know, who knows what that future world would be like. You know what I mean? You know, but it'll be better and more advanced than the present. We know that much. I mean, the message teaches us naturally, once you have a make or model of a thing, naturally you can improve on that thing once you have a make or model for it. You know what I mean? Like if I make a car, I shouldn't be surprised in 2023 if Ford has this T model raggedy little car going 30 miles per hour, and then Tesla makes an electric car in 2023. I shouldn't be surprised if the Wright brothers got this little raggedy plane, and then I see rockets landing on Mars. And I shouldn't be surprised if some teenagers can get in an airplane or a jet and fly to a super mall and go shopping. And in the future, our children's children get on some flying vehicle and go to the moon or the Mars and go shopping on another planet. That stuff would be common to them in the future. I mean, that's elementary stuff to them in the future. You know what I mean? But we have to be mindful, if you will, that the fall of the hypocrites is not necessarily a punishment. Everything, good and evil, serves the will of Allah God. Everything. Know what I mean? So you have to learn to be patient with hate. This is why Jesus like love your enemies. He ain't talking some spooky, he talking universal cosmic laws. Know what I mean? See, when you understand the law of vibration, you understand the law of polarity, causation, cause and effect, actions and reactions. You understand that our universe is not like we think. See, we look at the moment and be like, oh, she broke my heart. Oh, he double-crossed me. No, family. The angels of Allah are here to make sure that no mistake is made. The teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is just the portal. It's the vehicle that will get you to transform into the best you that you can be. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Hotep. Peace, God. Assalamu alaikum. The struggle continues.